Next up, Coach Jeff Tambroni. I mean, we all know, again, when you mention the word lacrosse in this country or in the world, you're going to think of Cornell University. And what Coach Tambroni has done with the team, and we all saw the progression to the national championship game. And how, what I admire about our lacrosse team, about Coach Tambroni, is just the absolute steadiness of the program and the steadiness of his demeanor and the first-class nature in the way they run. You're around this campus. I know all our teams work hard, but those lacrosse guys, they run from the weight room, they run to here, they run to there, and they do it together. And it's just a great program. Really enjoy the fact that he can be here with us, and looking forward to what he has to say. Coach Jeff Tambroni, there it is.
For having us all here tonight. And, it's a pretty impressive document. I knew when he asked me to come up here, knowing the other coaches that I was going to be speaking alongside, that's a pretty intimidating group of coaches. And being a coach still in his 30s, sitting at some of these coaches meetings that Coach or Mr. Noel runs, it's a pretty impressive group to be around. And I got to remind myself that we belong here as a coaching staff, myself and our coaches, because of the accomplishments of these other guys. But it's impressive, and I'm thankful for the opportunity to be here. I am clearly more on the side of Coach Donahue's story. And sometimes in life we all have to have something, unfortunately, hit us in the head before we decide to change. And unfortunately, that should not be the case. If we would just listen to our role models growing up, whether they be parents or coaches, or priests, or whatever the case may be, we shouldn't have to have that life-changing or altering occurrence happen in order for you to change your values, change your philosophy. For us in Cornell lacrosse, clearly things changed on March 17, 2004. For me, I've been the head coach here, and I thank Mr. Noel for bringing me in. This will be my 10th year. When I first got here, our philosophy and our mission is very simplistic, and it hangs on our locker room wall. And it says, "I will give my all for Cornell today." Very simple. It's a simple message to our guys. Every day they come into the locker room, and every day they leave the locker room, they are asked to touch that sign, just as a reminder of a couple different things. To give their all to their teammates, to remind them that through the years, each of the guys that have worn that same uniform that says Cornell across his chest have also touched that same sign. They are now members of that elite institution, Cornell University, Cornell Athletics, and Cornell lacrosse. When I got here 10 years ago, for me it meant work hard as you possibly can, and win games. And if I could do that, then I was fulfilling that mission of giving my all for Cornell today. March 16, 2004, we prepared. It was our final practice before we played against Binghamton. And we as a coaching staff felt like, geez, we've done our job. Our mission, and as I read through the CAR's website, I found it very interesting. They have the mission, they have the vision, they have the enduring purpose, just like our team, just like Coach Noel said about his team. Our mission was to win games, and we felt like on March 16, 2004, we had completed our mission. We had prepared our team. We'd gone through our practice. We'd gone through our scouting report. We had told our guys, taught our guys to be mentally tougher than our opponent, to be stronger than our opponent, and to flat out be better than our opponent. We felt like that was our mission, to win a game, completed mission. March 17, 2004, we take the field. 5 minutes left in the game. One of our team members, George Boyardi, gets hit in the chest with a lacrosse ball, falls to short outfield, and eventually passes away. About 2 hours after that moment occurred, I walked into our office, picked up the phone, called the parents of Mario St. George Boyardi. An absolutely surreal phone call, silence on the phone. I'll never forget the phone call for the rest of my life. As you can imagine, it was their only son. On the other end of the phone, one of the most difficult things, the most difficult thing that I've ever had to do as a coach, as a parent, as a friend, as a human being. And it's absolutely transformed everything that we now believe in as a team. hung up the phone, I walked downstairs, looked into the eyes of 41, 17 to 22-year-old young men. Told them the same message, the bone-chilling message that their teammate and their captain just passed away, playing the game that they loved. From that moment on, everything had changed. We had learned at that moment, through the faith of God, through the faith of our families, through the faith of our teammates, through the faith of their family, the Warehouse families, we learned how to live from that moment. We learned how to love, and that's the one thing that we definitely learned how to do, to love, and we became a team. At that moment, we learned to do those three things. We learned to live, we learned to love, we learned how to become a team. For me, my mission is now completely changed on March 17, 2004. When I now touch that sign, I will give my all for Cornell today. It takes on a completely different significance now. And I had the great fortune to listen to one of our alums, Stevie Paletta, with Mr. Noel. He talked a great deal. He was the gentleman that, again, he graduated, I want to say, back in 1987 from Cornell. He won Oprah's Big Give on TV, came back to speak here in Ithaca. He talked a lot about the difference between success and significance. And for him, there wasn't, much more that one man could accomplish at his age. He was an All-American as a lacrosse player. He was in the engineering school here at Cornell. He was the captain of the team here. He did everything that he wanted and set out to do while he was here in college. A degree, competed and played at the highest level of college lacrosse, and he felt like everything was going so well for him. After graduation, he went off, worked for his father down in the city, in construction, made millions of dollars. So he had his own plane, owned 2 or 3 of his own companies. He felt life was going great. And then one day he just broke down and started to cry, and he didn't know why. And he started to talk to some people to try to get help to find out what his life was all about. And he said he came to a point where he finally figured out the difference between success and significance, which is what we try to teach to our kids. Success is building your own kingdom, doing everything you can for yourself like we would. Try to win games, prepare our guys as well as we could, be tougher, be stronger as young men. We weren't teaching these guys the discipline of lifelong lessons. We were teaching them how to compete and win, and when the game was over, our lesson was done. We felt like our mission was done. We weren't doing our job for those years. And I'm sure that there's still so much improvement that needs to be done with all of us as coaches and all of us as players, and that's a continuous, lifelong process, and we understand that. Significance is leaving something behind, doing something for others. Don't build your own kingdom. Do something that everybody can be proud of. Give back for what you've been so fortunate about, like Coach Schaefer and Coach Donahue were talking about. And for us now, it's significance now, not success that we're teaching to our kids. We talked about the end result. We wanted to win an Ivy League championship. We wanted to win a national championship. That was our goals. We have never talked about winning an Ivy League championship since March 17, 2004. We have never talked about winning a national championship since March 17, 2004. We are hopeful that we have more of a presence in the community. We are hopeful that we are better, more visible role models in the community. We are hopeful that we are now teaching these young men the discipline that will last a lifetime. Not to win games, but to be better people and to contribute more because of their great fortune in the position that we all put them in. They're in a great position here at Cornell University. Our community could not be more supportive of athletics, and for us in Cornell lacrosse, could not be more supportive, and we could not be more thankful for that. It's time for us to give back to our community, to our children. That is now our mission at Cornell lacrosse. How we do that, we try to recruit the appropriate kinds of young men to come to Cornell. And the story that we talked with our guys about, just trying to bring, like Coach Schaefer, Coach Noel talk about, getting the right people on the bus. For us, we found 3 types of prospective student athletes that we found through recruiting. And it's told in the story called The Obstacle in Our Path. In ancient times, a king had a boulder placed on a roadway. And he hid himself and watched to see if anyone would remove the huge rock. Some of the king's wealthiest merchants came by and simply walked around it. That's prospect number 1. Those who ignore the obstacle or challenge, they are unwilling to take the challenge on themselves as they expect somebody else to do the work. It's beneath them. Certainly not someone that any of us here as coaches want to represent our programs or our university. Many loudly blame the king for not keeping the roads clear, but none of them did anything about getting the big stone out of the way. That's prospect number 2. Those who point the finger of blame but are unwilling to do the work necessary to make the situation better. Easier to complain than it is to make or create change. Again, not a prospect that we want involved or representing our institution or our program. Then a peasant came along and carried a load of vegetables. On approaching the boulder, the peasant laid down his burden and tried to move the stone aside of the road. After much pushing and straining, he finally succeeded. As the peasant picked up the load of vegetables, he noticed the purse lying in the road where the boulder had been. The purse contained many gold coins and a note from the king, indicating that the gold was for the person who was willing and able to remove the boulder from the roadway. Prospect number 3, the ones that we all want representing our program. Those willing to do the work, simply to leave the place better than when they found it, regardless of the prize or regardless of the reward. Today, my compass clearly remains in the hands of George Boyardi. Today, our mission clearly remains in the simple statement that we would like to leave this place better than we found it. Every day, every location we go to, that's our mission to our guys. Leave the place better than when you found it. And if you can do that, we'll know we'll have been successful. Not based on wins, not based on losses, not based on what anybody in the paper wants to tell you or any scoreboard will tell you. At the end of your journey, we will look back and you'll feel great about what you were able to accomplish. Not because you have a ring on your finger or an your national championship, but because you developed a discipline and lifelong friendships that will be with you forever. So I'd like to thank Coach Knowles again and Carlos for having me here. I hope you all have a great evening.